Welcome back to Behind the Print podcast, where we feature industry leaders and businesses within the world of professional printing. Our mission is to provide you with actionable, inspiring resources that elevate your business projects and accelerate your journey to excellence in profit and print. Today's episode is Keeping You Warm the Coolest Way Possible, and I'm here with TimberStoves owner and inventor, Tyson Traeger.
Hi, nice to meet you, Zoe.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. I'm so glad to have you on the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, who is the ideal customer for TimberStoves, and what kind of people benefit most from your product?
Yeah, it's a pretty easy one. It is somebody that gets cold, somebody like myself who doesn't like the cold. There was a need for that for sure.
So, then what are some of the common challenges your customers face when it comes to outdoor cooking and heating, and how does TimberStoves help them solve these problems?
Yeah, I think that's the epitome of invention is what's the need, right? So establish that first. That comes from trial and error. It's, we go to work every day, we figure out what we like, what we don't like, and we weave our little lives into the basket that we want. For me, it's definitely been how do I fix the problem of going outside and doing those enjoyable things that everybody loves to do, even the easy ones. The cold can be the nemesis of those events. Just going to the park simply. Mostly it's just hanging out outside on our patios at our house that we want to participate more in, but the cold does not permit that. So that's the big one for me is being able to just simply bring something to people that there's new concept to it. It works with wood pellets. So it's a very renewable fuel, bio-efficient fuel, energy efficient, and economically efficient. So there's a bunch of great bullets behind why people would want to sit around a fireplace that works with wood pellets. But it's mostly because it gets you warm. And that's the big benefit is that we're looking at a pretty fire. And that's what we know makes us warm. So that's what's great about our product. On the cooking side of things, we have RAD, and RAD is for radiant appliances. We've designed our own burner, and this allows us to not be dependent on propane. I don't like the idea of having to be dependent on something if I don't have to be. And what that is the option of burning wood or wood pellets in our device gives that free range to the customer and that's part of the design of this product is the simplicity of it to work for your basic needs. We want to be able to cook something, so that's a flat top, that's a griddle. We made a burner that is universal that allows both a oven or a griddle to be replaceable onto this burner. So a universal appliance that allows for multitudes of cooking. And it all just works with gravity. There's no moving parts. It's just the simplest form of fire, heating a device, and then being able to cook with that. So we really think that we're bringing the ideology back to where it should be, which is quality product that is dependable, it's easy to use, it's super simple to understand. It's all right in front of you, so you would know if there's no igniter, like when somebody is told my igniter does, like, what are they talking about, right? Like, there's none of that. It's just, do you have a lighter? Do you have some sticks? And our product works. So it was just trying to simplify the world there, but it makes it so much more enjoyable for the end user.
For sure. And with the what were you mentioning? How it's like it wasn't eco-friendly, did you say?
Yeah, wood pellets are a renewable fuel. It comes from the remnants of the lumber industry. So when they're cutting those 2x4s that they're building all these homes with, there's sawdust left over. And that sawdust is transformed through a process of a pellet mill, transforming sawdust into a burnable, sustainable product. It's really a great thing because for my upbringing, it's come to having the understanding that wood pellets is something that I can use scientifically, I can take and I can regulate that fuel. It's always the same size. It's not necessarily the same componentry as it varies geographically on where the sawdust is, and there's a variable in fuel. But that also allows us to regulate these standards, tell people and educate people about wood pellets. But it's an amazing industry, and it's so good for our planet. And it, in the end, is the best product to make you warm.
From warmth to eco efficiency,
Totally,
it just covers all the bases.
it does.
So, can you walk us through the process of designing and developing timber stoves?
Sure. You obviously have to have the idea. I think that came from growing up in an industry that is very similar, but you see a lot of inventions when you're around a family business that is an upbringing of new product. And it's not just the one product. Trust me, there's always hundreds, if not thousands, behind it that led to what you or the customer is seeing on the market. But that's the advantage of innovation, is if you understand that the trial and error part of that innovation is the secret to getting to that final destination. You cannot just have a dream and you end up with that final product. It just, if it does for you, I'm glad. I'm really happy for you. But I've never seen that in my life, and so I know that it's a world of adversity. Of what do I have to do to survive? And that is using your resources. That is being smart, both on the ecological side, the economical side. The entire business has to be sustainable. So it's really a hard thing to be able to manage all facets of a new innovation.
I agree. And I've seen a lot of outdoor stoves and just cooktops in general at places like Walmart. Do those use wood pellets, or what do you think sets timber stoves apart from other options out there?
You got it. I mean, if we're going to say anything, we're going to say that is a fossil fuel and that is not good for anybody. It's only being used because that's what people know right now. But when they find out that there's a better way to utilize fire, and it is done by utilizing wood pellets science, and you can see on all of our products, there's no smoke. And it blows people away because when they associate wood with wood burning appliances, they generally associate smoke. But because of the efficiency of how well you can engineer something and how well you can make it work, it's incredible to see those results. And that's what we have with our brands, TimberStoves and Rad.
Those are just such unique products, and with no smoke, that adds to the outdoor effect. So it could be cold and you have a fire, but then you have the smoke in your face. But with timber stoves, it's like all around exactly what you need.
It's what you need. You need to be warm, and you don't want the hinder of other things. Smoke is such a pain. Like, nobody wants to talk about it because, we've all got fire pits, of course, but there's a huge downside to fire pit. The smoke, to me, it makes me feel sick. Most people don't like smelling like the smoke. And so that's a big part of our product too. There's absolutely no smell associated with our product. But the big one is the warmth. Being able to sit down around our patio heaters and have that radiant type heat that you would get from a fire. That's what we're ultimately after. And so that's the success of the stove is making people warm.
Yeah, and I've seen the timber stoves, and they just have such a unique visual appeal. They're kind of like something you've never seen before, but they look so modern. How do you leverage photography, videos, and other media to showcase them? And what marketing tactics have worked best for your engagement?
Yeah, I think it's show the reality of what you need. For us, it's giving a lot of heat, making somebody warm, no matter the circumstance, whether it's a very cold environment or a nice 60-degree afternoon in the spring. The other big one when you're warming somebody is the liability of the temperature surface of what is getting hot. So part of our design really has centered around our cage, and it allows somebody, a kid, a 2-year-old, to accidentally run up and touch the cage. And you're less than 100 degrees on this cage. So to allow the emittance of the radiant heat out, but then the protective material that is keeping a junior, or let's say somebody who's had a little too many at a public place, from touching a hot surface, that's really like, for me, I have 3 children. That's the biggest concern I have. And so it's really a big part of what we do, is not just warm them up, but also keep them safe while we're heating them up. But that's the fun part of the design, is it's what's the need, right? What do we got to do to channel sales? Yes, but why is somebody going to buy my product is the most important question.
Evaluating that need and identifying what you need to fix their needs is the
Right,
best way to go around it as a business.
right.
What advice would you give another entrepreneur looking to scale their business?
Yeah, you got to really be resourceful. That's the key word. It's not, this is a business venture that I started with zero money. There was no silver spoon involved in this business. That is an advantage. Knowing that the money I have to spend is conflicted to the result of what happens to that expense, you're going to start to worry about where your money goes. And that's the correct path of a business. That's how you understand the economic value of each equation, is you have to have your hands on it. So hand to mouth, using your resources. Don't take the advantages in the handouts, because they don't get you anywhere. You really have to go step by step, sell what you got, get to the next level, and make sure that your focus is always on the best product that you can put out there for the best fair market value you can offer for that price point.
So, have you ever faced any major supply chain or production challenges, and how did you work through those?
Yep. There's always production issues when you manufacture the product yourself. It is about being a team. You do not get anywhere unless you have multiple hands. And as a small business owner, your goal is to raise a business so that you can take a lot of those hats off, take a lot of your hands-on situations and hand them over to other management. But that comes with the affordability of the trust that you're going to give to these people. And I really feel you only get that if you treat someone correctly. That's treating them with respect. That's acknowledging their input. They are part of your team, and respecting that we're all in this together. Really, I model old mythology ways that it really just circles around. You're in your tribe, and it's you and your tribe, and that's all you got. So you guys better work together and acknowledge each other, love each other, and treat each other with respect, because it's a game. Nobody's saying that there's a pot of gold waiting anywhere. It is a game of survival, and anybody that's saying it's different is lying. It is not easy to run a business. So you just have to stay consistent and believe in yourself and your product, and march forward and be there tomorrow.
That's great advice for any entrepreneur, I would say. So, tell me a little bit about how TimberStoves uses print.
Yeah, it's huge for us, and it becomes more and more valuable as we have learned that our product is something that somebody has to feel in order to understand. And that's a really hard thing to relay online. So in the world of sensation, yes, ASMR videos are great, but I can't do that through print. But what I can do is I can do imagery that allows me to convey the same message. And some huge advantages we have in our industry are what they call thermal imaging. This is a camera made in Oregon called FLIR, F-L-I-R, and it's a technology that allows us people to see heat. Typically, it's used for, say, the HVAC world, where they can see leaks out windows and doors. But in our instance, we can actually show people with an image the difference between our product and something else. And it's a huge advantage for us because the biggest part of making someone else believe in your product is through demonstration. And that's hard to do through imagery unless you can do it correctly. So print has been really viable for us through using the right ways of marketing. And that's a big one. Obviously, people want to walk away and remember something. So trade shows and us being out in the public, that's huge for us with the brochures, the banners, and letting people acknowledge that we're an American-made business, and the store in-store displays, stuff on the walls, the posters. We've even got really neat display material that goes on our product itself. And that highlights all, like I'm saying, with the FLIR and thermal imagery, a lot of these bullet points that I want to tell somebody, but I can't. But I can definitely do it through that piece of visual that hangs on my product. So it's absolutely influential in our business.
Yeah, it definitely shows much more. I looked at a couple of your prints and it tells a little bit of the story and
Yeah,
a little bit of how it all works. I really loved your prints. Those are cool.
yeah. We get to show them the fire too. That's a huge part of our product. So an image can show that flame, and it's great.
For sure. So looking back, what have been some of the biggest milestones for TimberStoves?
There's a lot of them. We've been at this since 2011, a little bit before that, having the idea and all that. I wouldn't consider being in business. So I would say over 15 years now. It's really been, how do you ride the wave? It will flatten you. It will punch you in the face. I've gone through everything. And by everything, I mean, this segment is not long enough for us to share all the highs and lows of business. I'll just give you some real big ones. Our business burned to the ground 3.5 years ago. Having that tragedy strike us, it was an opposing building. So a neighboring building caught fire and spread to our buildings, and it was disastrous. We had to start over and start from scratch. But that is really the epitome of business. You always have to rewire and rethink. You're always going to have competition, but the end goal is, are you still solving the problem for what is necessary to the market? And I know that with bringing my own product forward, that's how you can really ensure that you're giving the best to the consumer, is you care about it. So that's a big one with bringing a business forward, is believing that you can make it, believing what you've got is good enough, and staying true to that.
Yeah, and being adaptable. You mentioned that. That's such a good point. I agree. So, on the flip side, what are some of the challenges holding TimberStoves back right now?
It's real easy. The manufacturing cost and inflation has really made it hard for us to grow at the path and pace that we wanted to. And so, just like any other obstacle in business, you find a way to get around that. And we've got lots of solutions. And I think that's what's great about being thrown curveballs and not painting the perfect Van Gogh painting. That's not the real world. You have to be able to change. Adversity is what breeds our fire. So we love keying on adversity, and it's almost like that's where we're most successful. So I invite it. Bring it on.
That's awesome. So, looking into the future, where do you see TimberStoves in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I've always had the goal of having that finished product that I can finally go and spend that quality time with my kids, that I have inevitably given up a lot of that time right now. So a lot of it is, yeah, I'm wishing to make up for a lot of that in the future by making this business successful. That comes with making sure my product is available to the people that want it and need it. We've scratched the surface. That's how I feel as a business owner. And I think there's a lot of room to grow. It's a cold world out there, and we have something to warm it up.
That's awesome. So how do you manage wearing all these different hats as a small business owner?
I had a good father who taught me three pretty plain, generic rules that I grasp to daily. I relay to my business associates: go with the flow, You kind of just got to accept things sometimes, and you can't change that. I like to control things. I'm a business owner, and that's just, the epitome of a business owner. But in all of that, you have to learn to relax. You cannot just always run the rat race. If you run the rat race all the time, you'll end up in a panic attack in your bed. Your wife will be watching over you, wondering when she's got to call 911. Yeah, that's personal experiences. It can run you ragged. So you have to be careful. You have to learn to relax. And the last is to slow down. You just got to learn to slow down. If we don't learn to take the time to enjoy this little piece of the pie we get, then what is the point? So we got to smell the roses. We got to slow down and enjoy what we got.
I love those mantras. You mentioned making up for some lost time, but if you had a day to spend completely free, where would you be? What would you be doing?
I would definitely be with my kids. They're in that teenage age group, and it's that time in my life that I feel like adventure gave me a lot of the motivation for the future I have and the lifestyle I have now. So the woods, going and playing with sticks and fires and throwing things you shouldn't be and building things that you can't, and making fun in the woods for sure.
Enjoying the free life.
Free life, yep.
So, how can our listeners get in touch with you to learn more, purchase a timber stove, or collaborate?
Yeah, we are wood pellet products. We operate by two name brands, Timber Stoves and Rad. So Timber Stoves are our fireplace patio heater lineup, and Rad is our cooking lineup. Both these are under the umbrella of Wood Pellet Products, woodpelletproducts.com, timberstoves.com. You can find us on YouTube. Our Instagram is really cool at Timber Stoves. Check us out there. We put a lot of cool content up there. We're all over the place. We would love for you to find one of our heaters in real life, though, and let all that be backed up by that nice warmth that you feel.
Awesome. Well, you guys heard them. Check them out on Instagram, social media, or at their website at woodpelletproducts.com.
Awesome.
That's a wrap on another episode of Behind the Print podcast. Thanks to our listeners for joining us as we have explored the artistry and innovation of the printing world. Remember, having a strong vision, building the right strategy, and using tools like print to amplify your message will make your brand stand out from the crowd. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to stop by printingcenterusa.com and get yourself a free sample pack and share it with your fellow business enthusiasts. Until next time, keep those creative sparks flying, and remember, there's always more to discover behind the print.